Welcome back. I now have the pleasure of welcoming Cariappa Monaiah, Chief Business Officer, Knowledge Lens, who will share his insights on sustainable and predictable manufacturing powered by AI, ML, and Industry 5.0. Cariappa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Evan. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for joining today's session. We are happy to be associated with Economic Times Next Gen CIO Summit as the AI partner. Right, so with respect to the sustainable and predictable manufacturing, just want to set the context for all the people joining in today. We are talking about some of the key industry sectors, such as the pharmaceuticals, cement industry, textiles, chemicals, fertilizers, whole lot of these industries today manufacturing some of the goods for the various consumption needs, various of these industrial needs and all of these sectors. It also involves some of these industries using some of the key utilities like the hydroelectric power, the thermal energy related activities, the various solar plants as for renewable energy, the various water pumping stations, effluent stations, weather stations, and all of that. So these are the industries as a context to which we are talking about how sustainable and predictive manufacturing plays a very critical role. Today, if you look at India and the various manufacturing industries throughout the globe are faced with some of the key challenges which have been taking global importance. That is where the green initiatives are taking a lot of this importance. CO2 emissions are playing a big role in which how today the Earth's climate is shaping up, and there is a critical need, and every country and every organizations and industries are taking those steps to improve those activities in which the environment can be brought into good shape, the working facilities of the people across the industries and the overall their quality of life being improved on a day-to-day basis. So sustainability is going to play a very critical role in the next decade and this century as we look at it. Today, if you look at it, various of these industries are faced with certain challenges with respect to their manufacturing. Usage of fossil fuels in the last century has been the critical power engine of driving various of these production across the industries, right? And that is where today there are steps being taken, and which is important to see how do you optimize the usage of these fossil fuels, bring across some of the usage of renewable energy sources, wind, solar, various of these innovative ways to bring across the other energy sources into picture. The other important aspect is also how do you look at reduction of the wastage of the raw materials, right? And that is where zero wastage plays a very critical role, improving the yield of the products being done, high quality products being manufactured. That is playing a very critical role in how you can reduce these raw material wastages. Similarly, loss of energy. Today, how do you reduce the energy consumption within a factory? That's more critical important. That is where eventually, if you can reduce your energy bill, look at how efficiently you can run your machines, plug those leakages, right? Eventually will help you to achieve a greener environment, less energy, and that's where the carbon footprint for a factory also is reducing eventually. As I mentioned, CO2 emissions from the various industries, the various automobiles plying on the road is severely affecting our environment. You know that India today is some of our cities have this major problem with respect to CO2 emissions globally as well. And reduction of these carbon emissions are going to be a significant role in getting to a better climate, and also to look at these reducing the carbon footprint. Also, we are talking about reducing the pollution levels from the emissions across industries, the discharges from the various textiles and various of these manufacturing industries also plays a very critical role. The other important aspect is, yes, sustainability is important for a factory. Predictability into their production also plays a very critical role. And that's where you would be aware some of these problem statements such as frequent downtimes, improving the productivity of the factory and the people working in the factory plays a very critical role. As I mentioned, the quality of the products being done, high quality products are important, because you can prevent the number of rejects occurring across based on the usage. The adverse impact of those products on the people also is something area which is important to be sorted out, right? And these are the areas where the focus and the innovative solutions, wherein today artificial intelligence, the machine learning techniques, the industrial IoT, using the data to bring across insight, bringing across automation, bringing across some of those learning into the processes, improving the efficiency, are playing a very key role in today's landscape of the various factories we are looking at. I just want to touch upon a topic where today, how the landscape in the various manufacturing sector, the factories are gradually innovating, looking at those different technology adoption across their facilities. And their core aim is to look at how to bring across unification of the human and machine intelligence to achieve some of those business outcomes in a very productive and a sustainable manner, right? And that's the key aspect about it, because there's always been an apprehension, right? Artificial intelligence is going to steal away the jobs. But our perspective of what we are seeing is AI is going to help the people working in the industry to do their job in a much better way. And that's where AI is taking shape. It is just helping the people to do their jobs in a much better way. There are intelligent recommendations which are coming on to them to do their activity in a much better way. Some of those activities which can be achieved by automation are getting digitized. There are much more digital tools like tablets, apps, and wearable technologies, augmented reality coming onto the shop floor to today do the higher scale of production, because there is a need for larger portfolio of products being done. The customer experience is improving. Today, end users and the consumers want, better user experience, better product quality, different variations of the product. And that's where how do you aid that innovation at the factory floor is playing a very critical role. And what you see here is a continuous feedback loop of how data from a factory, from the machines, from the workers is being used to bring onto a central kind of a manufacturing lake. And on that, we apply the various AI, ML techniques to look at how do you use this information to bring the insights from the contextualized data. And using that, what are those intelligent actions and recommendations that can be pushed onto the people working on the shop floor? Either it could be the operator either doing a continuous production or a batch production and all of those, or it could be a maintenance technicians looking at how to manage my machines in the factory in a very efficient manner. If there is servicing required, if there are down a particular machine broken down, how do I efficiently resolve it? Quicker resolution, how do I efficiently look at reducing those downtimes, bringing across that information to improve the continuous process happening in the plant. And that's the whole focus of how this industry 5.0 is today driving some of those unified human and machine intelligence onto the shop floor. Now, if you look at it for the various industries, right, where are those areas they can actually look at bringing across those sustainable initiatives onto their manufacturing, right? Achieving that net zero. The first step is doing an assessment to know where do they stand right now on their carbon footprint, right? How much is their carbon footprint on today their manufacturing? It is based on how much amount of raw materials are being used, how much amount of electricity being used, how much amount of water, various gas, how the various of these are leading up to the emissions, discharges, and all of that, right? And there is a factor in which finally you calculate saying, yes, this is what is the carbon footprint across my operations in the factory, the various things, what they're doing, and all of that, right? And that's a starting point. And then the next step is, how do I improve going forward on this regard, right? Yes, my carbon footprint at this level, my emissions are at this level, my discharges, water discharges, or effluent discharges are at this level. how do I improve on this basis? 1%, 2%, 3% improvement, right? And what are those areas, right? Now, as I touched upon, energy is a very critical area. And this is where today every industry are looking at how do I bring across renewable energy? How do I look at reducing my energy footprint and all of that? And that's where some of these solutions are focused towards looking at what are those savings that could be achieved as part of the energy monitoring, management, optimization, reducing the demand but increasing the linear productivity. So that's where the solution focus with respect to savings and optimization of your energy needs. And this is where a whole lot of this you're looking at connecting to the energy meters, bringing across that information, applying the algorithms to do the forecasting, looking at areas where there could be leakages, loss of energy occurring across the overall plant. Could be machines which are not performing well because of low power factor and all of that. So that's one area where those initiatives can be driven, looking at optimization and saving of the energy usage. Similarly, the another area is with respect to the monitoring the footprint, looking at the currently a lot of these industries, right? An example, let's take in cement industry. They have a lot of these pollutants as part of their cement production, clinker processing, heating of those clinkers, raw materials, and finally the cement being produced. Like the equipments like the roller press, vertical mill, kiln, and all of that, right? Some of these equipments are highly emitting the pollutants. And that's where some of these forecasting are required today to figure out how much are those factories or those particular plant doing those emissions. Are they breaching a daily basis? And cumulatively, when you add up to the month, are they breaching the overall allowed limit by the regulator? And that is where the artificial intelligence algorithms are helping you to do the what if analysis, forecasting those daily trends. And if you continue on this, where is that breach going to occur? And that's where some of those solutions are helping on to say, do I shut down those production for a few days so that I don't breach across these aspects? And how do I comply onto that? So some of these advanced markets are taking these initiatives to look at how to forecast their emissions and look at how they comply onto their regulations. Similarly, for a pharmaceutical industry and all of that. We spoke about how solar energy is playing a big role. Adoption of this is playing, are taking a larger step on this regard. Now, when you have solar rooftops, solar farms, and all of that, right? Now, earlier the footprint was smaller. Now there are a lot of these, what do you say, locations and factories and those enterprises taking these initiatives to bring across the solar panels and the overall system onto that. Now, as this number of equipments on the field increases, panels, the inverters, the systems connecting to that, monitoring, measuring their efficiency, and maintenance of all of this is very important. So efficiency of this, all of these solar panels and cells plays a very critical role. And that's where the IoT technologies, right, connecting to those, the inverters, bringing the information, looking at forecasting their energy generation needs, consumption needs, balancing out based on the intensity of the solar radiation. All of those solutions have today play a very critical role. And this is where the adoption of solar energy is going to improve in reducing the carbon footprint across industries. And that's where solutions are focused on that area. The another area is how can you improve the yield of your batches, right? Every production, it could be a continuous production or a batch production of the various automobile components, or it could be the chemicals that being manufactured in the chemical industry, right? Improving the batch yield is very important. Having 87 to 90, 93, 94% of batch yield actually generates the main product and the lesser amount of those byproducts. The reduction in the yield, actually it's opposite way, where you have byproducts being generated higher and the main product being reduced. So there's a cost impact for the various manufacturing sector, and any of these quality mismatches, right, are actually as part of the testing, that whole batch is getting reduced. So that plays a very critical role in how do you control all of these aspects, achieve efficiency across the various machines which are there in the factory. Either it could be the boilers, chillers, cooling towers, various equipments which are there, right? Improving the efficiency helps you to achieve the reducing the energy loss part of it, achieving a sustainable way in which you can drive all of these solutions. Similarly, there are areas in which AI-powered vision analytics is playing a very critical role in improving a sustainable and efficient initiative at a factory. Either it could be to look at some of those operational improvements using vision. We have looked at some of these textile industries taking these initiatives, the FMCG sector looking at improving the quality of those products, some of the cement industry, chemical industry, bottling, food beverage industry using vision analytics to actually achieve some of the sustainable and productive ways to improve their manufacturing. So I will stop here. We have run out of time. Back to you, Ivan. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Cariappa Monaiah, Chief Business Officer, Knowledge Lens, with his views and insights on sustainable and predictable manufacturing powered by AI, ML, and Industry 5.0. Cariappa, we wish you and Knowledge Lens the very best going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ivan. And thank you for joining today's session.
You're most welcome. Do stay tuned in, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in a couple of minutes from now with a very exciting panel discussion titled How CIOs Can Drive Organizational Change.